This is Warrington, Cheshire. Now, when you think of Warrington, you might think of IKEA, Warrington Wolves, Luke Littler, and of course, ridiculously handsome cheese reviewers. But scratch beneath the surface, and you'll discover that there's a lot more to Warrington than just flat pack furniture and rugby. Over the years, Warrington has been quietly building a reputation for brilliant local produce, artisan food, and truly brilliant small businesses. And one of those businesses is the focus of today's review: Mamars, artisan food and licensed delicatessen. These days, it feels like social media is overflowing with influencer recommendations, everyone claiming that they found the best place you'll ever eat. Mamars wasn't like that. I found this place completely by accident. I'd actually just finished eating at a nearby cafe and was looking for somewhere to satisfy my sweet tooth. When I walked past Mamars, the smell of freshly baked bread smacked me in the face. I went inside looking for cake, but what I actually found was even better. I stepped inside and, me being me, immediately gravitated towards the cheese counter. Whilst I was browsing, the owner Sonia came over to say hello, and within seconds it was obvious this wasn't just a business to her, it was a genuine passion. And what made this even more genuine is that she had absolutely no idea that I'd recently started creating videos about cheese related places. There was no playing up for the cameras or putting on a performance. She was genuinely just proud of what she created and wanted to tell me her story. Now, while Sonia was talking, I started browsing the menus on the counter. Then I saw this: afternoon cheese. Now, no offense to Sonia, but the second I read those two words, I completely drifted off. She could have been telling me next week's lottery numbers and I wouldn't have known, because all I could think about was this: afternoon cheese. Now listen, we've all seen afternoon tea done plenty of times before, but afternoon cheese, I'd never even heard of it. Long story short, I booked in for the following Friday and left. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about the place. From my chat with Sonia, I knew that they did pizza making and bread making nights, but I couldn't help but think, was this place the real deal? After doing a bit of research, I realised that I couldn't have been more wrong. Again, no offence to Sonia, but I'd never even heard of Mamars before. Surely, if an afternoon cheese event appeared in my town, I'd have heard of it, right? My research quickly proved that Mamars was not a new kid on the block. They actually started life as Mamars Bread and Cheese on Warrington Market back in 2019. However, thanks to their popularity, they soon outgrew their little market stall and moved into larger premises. Today, they're best known for their artisan bread, pastries and cakes, all made without additives. But they're so much more than just a bakery. Whether it's pizza making classes, bread making workshops or community events, everything that they do seems to revolve around one simple goal: bringing people together through a shared love of great food. I also spent some time trawling through their social media, and one thing really stood out. So many businesses use their platforms to take subtle digs at competitors or tell you why everyone else is doing it wrong. Mamars couldn't have been more different. Instead of tearing other businesses down, they were busy lifting them up. So when I came across these posts, it was genuinely refreshing to see. Anyway, fast forward to the following Friday and I was back at Mamars. Unfortunately, Sonia wasn't working that day. However, the team that were there were friendly, knowledgeable and refreshingly down to earth. Whilst I waited to be seated, I took a proper look around the place. Everywhere I looked, there was something that caught my eye. There were shelves filled with homemade produce and goods from local artisan suppliers. What I also liked was there was subtle cheese-themed touches throughout the bakery. In particular, tucked away in a corner was a little library. Now, tell me the last time you went into a place where they had a library full of books that you can read whilst you eat. Of course, I picked up the one about cheese, and before long, I was reading about the very cheeses that I just ordered. Now, when I first saw the menu, the description of the afternoon cheese sounded nice, but what actually turned up completely blew my mind. The menu was basically like, yeah, you get some cheese, crackers, chutney, toasty and a few cakes. This is what actually arrived. Now, before diving into the cheeses, I started with the homemade sourdough. And as you can see, it's freshly baked in-house and has that beautiful crisp crust and a light, airy centre. But bread this good deserved an equally as good cheese. And the first one that I reached for was Taleggio. Now, Taleggio's got a bit of a reputation. It's often described as one of Italy's stinkiest cheeses, but don't let the aroma fool you. The flavour is surprisingly mild. It's rich, buttery and wonderfully creamy with just a gentle tang. It's also one of Italy's oldest soft cheeses, having been made for over 1,000 years, and it's still traditionally produced in northern Italy today, serving as a perfect reminder that you should never judge a cheese by its smell. Next came Délice de Bourgogne, and this one definitely lived up to its name. Délice de Bourgogne is a French triple creme cheese with extra cream added during production to create this unbelievably rich and velvety texture. This was first created in Bourgogne in the 1970s, and it's become one of France's most celebrated soft cheeses. If you love brie, then imagine brie but turned up a notch. My third and final choice was the Kalkbar Alpine Creamer. Now this, again, was rich and smoothie, however this one has delicate nutty notes that lingered long after each bite. What makes this cheese really stand out is how it's matured. So it's aged for 4 to 5 months inside a natural 22 million year old sandstone cave in Switzerland. And what happens here is the humid and cool conditions slowly develop its distinctive flavour and texture. It's one of those cheeses that's packed with character without ever becoming overpowering. Now it wasn't just about the cheese. The olives, pickled onions and cornichons all had a job to do. I'm still not an olive convert, but even I could appreciate that these were proper quality. Next up was the toasty, and I was really excited for this. I adore toasties. Now, after much deliberation, I went for Amy's favourite. Safe to say, I definitely made the right decision. Packed with Gruyere, chorizo picante and their own homemade chili jam. The Gruyere brought a rich nutty flavour, whilst the chorizo added a smoky warmth, and the chili jam tied everything together with just the right balance of sweetness and gentle heat. Now, whilst you only allowed 3 cheeses, the team did see me eyeing up the 24-month-old Parmigiano Reggiano and kindly offered for me to take a little piece away. So Parmigiano Reggiano has been made in northern Italy for nearly 900 years, and after 24 months of aging, it develops that wonderfully deep nutty flavour along with the tiny crunchy protein crystals that cheese lovers get so excited about. Even though I was completely stuffed, there was no way that I was wasting a cheese gift. So I took it home and shaved it over a homemade Caesar salad and served it with some chicken skewers. That being said, there's always room for dessert. Now, even though I barely touched the cakes, I couldn't resist the scone with the clotted cream and the jam. So that meant that the lemon drizzle, carrot cake, one of the scones, and the slices of their homemade bread, plus the remaining cheese, all came home with me. And that's one thing that I really appreciated. I didn't feel under pressure to finish everything there and then. Everything about Mamars is about relaxing and taking your time. And considering that all of this was £35 per person, the amount you get is ridiculous. Even the soft drinks are reasonably priced at £1.50. I've been charged close to £3 at other places. And after I'd paid, I made the mistake of having one last look around their shop, and my self-control completely disappeared. I ended up walking out with one of their Westmoreland farmhouse chutneys and one of their raspberry and vanilla jams. Now, here's a few things that I didn't like, and this was the hardest part of the whole video because I genuinely loved the place. The first thing I noticed was that, unlike the afternoon tea, the afternoon cheese doesn't include unlimited tea or coffee. That said, I can also understand the thinking behind it. Certain drinks can affect how cheese tastes, so perhaps it was a deliberate decision to let the cheese be the star of the show. My second and probably biggest feedback is I would have liked a few more crackers. The amount of cheese you get is incredibly generous, and I found myself running out of crackers before I'd made much of a dent in the cheese. Thankfully, there was plenty of homemade sourdough to keep me going, but a few extra crackers would have really rounded it off perfectly. So, what score am I giving Mamars? For me, it's an outstanding 9.3 out of 10, making it the highest rated cheese experience on the channel so far. Yeah, I've only reviewed 2 places, but I've got a feeling Mamars will be sitting at the top of that leaderboard for quite some time. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching if you got to this point without turning off. Now, if you've got a cheese shop, deli, afternoon cheese, or any other cheesy experience that you think I should review next, please put it in the comments and I might just visit it. Thanks again, and until next Saturdairy, may your cheese stay fresh and your crackers never break. Bye bye now.